There was a small town nestled between the hills, a quiet place where everyone knew each other, and the air was always fresh with the scent of pine trees. In this town, there lived an old man named Samuel, known by all as Grandpa Sam. His hair had long turned silver, and his back had a slight hunch from the weight of the many years he had lived. He spent most of his days sitting on the porch of his house, looking out at the rolling fields beyond, where he once worked as a young man. His grandson, Jake, a vibrant 22-year-old, often visited him on weekends. Jake was full of energy, dreams, and hopes for his future. But lately, something had been weighing on his heart. Life, with its twists and turns, had begun to feel heavier. The excitement he once felt for the future had faded into uncertainty. His friends had all moved on to new cities or started families, and Jake was still stuck in the same routine, trying to figure out his place in the world. One sunny afternoon, as Jake sat beside his grandfather on the porch, he couldn't hold it in anymore. The sadness, the confusion, the emptiness in his chest, it all poured out. "I don't know, Grandpa. I just feel like I'm stuck. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life, but nothing seems to make sense. Everyone else seems to be going somewhere, and I'm just here. I feel so lost sometimes." Grandpa Sam, who had listened quietly, nodded thoughtfully. He had seen the world change in ways Jake couldn't even imagine. He knew what it felt like to feel like life was slipping by without a clear direction. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "Jake, do you remember the old oak tree down by the river? The one we used to climb when you were a boy?" Jake nodded, a faint smile forming on his lips as he remembered the many afternoons spent there, carefree and full of joy. "Well," Grandpa Sam continued, "that tree wasn't always as tall as it is now. When it was young, it was just a small sapling, like you. It didn't have a clear path, it grew this way, then that way, depending on the weather, the soil, the sun. There were times when the wind would blow so hard that the tree would bend, but it never broke. It just kept growing, slowly, day by day." Jake listened closely, his mind starting to calm as he watched his grandfather's eyes twinkle with wisdom. "You see, Jake," Grandpa Sam said, "whenever you feel sad in life, whenever you think you're not moving forward or you're lost, remember that you're like that tree. Life isn't about having everything figured out all at once. It's about growth, and growth takes time. Sometimes, you bend with the wind, sometimes you stand still, and other times, you stretch your branches out to the sky. But no matter what, you keep growing. Even if you can't see it right away." Jake leaned back in his chair, letting his grandfather's words sink in. He had been so focused on the destination, on finding a perfect answer to life's big questions, that he had forgotten the beauty of simply living and growing through each day. Grandpa Sam smiled softly and patted Jake's hand. "And if you ever get lost, come back here. I've always got a chair waiting for you on this porch. Sometimes, just sitting in silence with someone who cares is the best way to find your way again." Jake chuckled softly, feeling a warmth in his chest that he hadn't felt in weeks. Maybe his grandfather was right. Life wasn't a race to the finish line. It was about living each moment, no matter how small, with patience, growth, and love. And maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to have everything figured out right now. Later that day, as the sun began to set behind the hills, Jake took a deep breath and looked at the world around him. The trees, the river, and the sky all seemed to remind him that life was still unfolding, just like that oak tree by the river. He smiled at his grandfather. "Thanks, Grandpa. I think I understand now." Grandpa Sam nodded, his eyes crinkling with a gentle smile. "Good. Just remember, whenever you feel sad in life, just take a deep breath, look around, and trust that you're growing, even when you don't feel like it. You're never truly lost. You just haven't seen how far you've come yet." And with that, Jake felt a little lighter, as though a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. He knew the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but for the first time in a long while, he was okay with not having all the answers. He was still growing.